welcome back to another episode of the Isn't That Rich podcast. Today is the week of Thanksgiving, which means Black Friday is upon us. And today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of using your debit card versus using a credit card. And who knew there were pros and cons to using either one of them, but there are. So we have a special guest today, Lexi Cavins, who is our customer service specialist, and she is going to be telling us all about when to use a credit card and when to use a debit card. So welcome on, Lexi. We're happy to have you.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, Lexi, we got on the website yesterday and we didn't realize this, but we have like 30 million credit cards
We
offer.
We have a lot. We've got personal ones and business ones. There's a lot of options.
So when you're sitting down and talking with people, when you're opening up their accounts or opening up them a credit card, you have to have a lot of long, lengthy conversations probably about just what their needs are and why what they need it for, and kind of you do have to explain the pros and cons of both.
Oh, absolutely. There's a million, like you said, you kind of just have to know what they're going to be using it for, go over the different rewards that each one has and which one would best fit them.
I think we're going to go through a lot of them today, right?
Yeah.
A couple of them.
Yeah.
But I want you to tell everybody what you do at the bank and how long, maybe a little bit of your history of being with the bank, because I know this is the first time we've had you on.
Yeah. Yep. I have been with Farmers State Bank for about 2.5 years now. I absolutely love it. I was a full-time teller. I am a customer service representative now. So I do new accounts, all of that good stuff. I still help on the teller line, but yeah, I love it.
That's amazing. We love having you here. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about debit cards, first of all, because when you open a checking account, typically people open or get a debit card.
Yeah.
And that's their form of spending, whether they spend cash or they use their debit card. So that's the first real form of payment they use, right?
Yeah. Yep. Debit cards are, that's what I use all of the time is a debit card. I don't think I've maybe written like 5 checks in my entire life, which is crazy to some people. But, when you actually think about it, like debit cards is, one of the most convenient ways to use your money or cash. But check writing, you are so vulnerable to fraud with your account. So, debit cards is definitely the new way to be spending your money.
And it's just directly linked to your checking account.
Yes.
So
you spend that money and it's gone. It's out of your account.
Yeah.
It's cash, essentially.
Yes.
It's basically
It's
the same
cash
thing.
on a card.
Yeah.
It's just plastic cash is what we'll call it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. There's so many different kinds of pros and cons to using a debit card versus a credit card. Debit card's definitely something that every account that I open, they want a debit card. Checks, I don't really do those anymore unless that's something that people prefer.
That's interesting. So you don't see a lot of people getting checkbooks when they open an account.
No.
It's an old way of doing things.
Yeah.
Do you feel like when you write a check, it's like kind of hard? If you ever write a check,
the first time I wrote one
about it.
Yes. The first
I'm
time
like
I wrote
the same
one.
way.
My dad is like, you do not know how to write a check. I was like, no.
You're like, we did this one lesson in high school.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. I just swipe my debit card.
Yeah.
And so when you open an account, is a debit card typically free with the account, or do people have to pay for that?
It's typically free, but a lot of places you have to wait a couple weeks to get one in the mail. We print them here, though, in-house.
That's good.
So whenever you open up your account with us, you get one the same day. It takes a couple minutes to print. So, you have it and then it's available to you and you can go and use it.
Well, that's good, because I've heard of people having maybe their debit card or credit card stolen from their mailbox before. There's a lot of mail fraud, too, that happens. So if you can get it directly from the bank and...
Yeah, well, even when you lose your debit card, you can come in and they print it the same day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Versus like going to the DMV when you have to wait 5 million years and you're walking around with a paper copy.
I always thought that. They should...
I don't understand that.
What...
They haven't met us. We need to go work there and get them some licensed printing machines.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, people are surprised, like, what? I get it the same day. Yeah, because you make a deposit to open the account. You've got money in there, but if you don't get a card for 2 weeks, you've got to come to the bank every time you want to do a transaction. So,
yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right, Lexi, let's run us through all of the pros and all of the cons of a debit card.
Yes.
We've said a lot of them now, but...
Yep. So with a debit card, you already said this, but the money is deducted instantly from your account. So you don't have to worry about where's a credit card, but we'll get into that where you're borrowing money. This money is already there in your account and it's just taken out immediately. So you don't have to worry about potentially racking up some debt.
Well, I think of like the other forms of payment, like if you're doing Venmo or you're paying with PayPal, there's some lag time in between it. Even if you're receiving a PayPal payment, there's some lag in between. So having a debit card is nice that it's immediately out of the account. You can,
and you can account for it like right then and there.
Yeah.
With debit cards too, there's no fees to use them. I mean, sure, if you go to the ATM, there might be a little fee to take that money out, but to actually use it for transactions, there's no fee. You're not charging interest rate on your debit card.
So there's not like processing fees.
Nope.
Oh.
Some merchant like capture devices at companies might charge a small fee, but other than that, like just going to the store to use your card, you're not charged anything.
Okay.
And typically on our cards, right, or some of our accounts, if you use your debit card at a ATM, you get that money reimbursed.
Yeah,
like on our Casasa accounts.
Yeah, with Casasa, you get refunded up to $20 every single month if you go and use a foreign ATM.
That's good to know
Yeah.
too.
With using a debit card, you can use Apple Pay. So if you're somebody who does prefer to use a debit card and you do shop online a lot and you use Apple Pay, it disguises your debit card number and uses like a fake one that is projected through Apple so that your card number is not put out there for the risk of being compromised.
Oh, that's so good to know. I had no idea that they actually used a separate number. They disguise it.
Yep, and it's completely free.
I did not.
Yeah. Yep, it'll show if you like use Apple Pay whenever you confirm it to make a purchase, it shows you the last four of your card number if you like it's not the actual last four of your card number.
So can you use that on your desktop?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So you can use it on desktop and your mobile.
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah, it disguises it so you can't.
So Apple Pay is actually safer.
It is safe. Yep. So we try and get everybody who uses debit card sign up for Apple Pay. There's no charge. Like use it because it will protect your card.
Neat. Good to know.
What do you do if you have a Droid or an Android?
I don't know. Apple Pay is offered, right? No, it's not.
No, because that's not Apple.
Well,
Droid
then
Pay?
get a credit card.
Maybe just get an iPhone.
Stop being the green message.
Yeah.
What are some of the cons to using a debit card?
So with a debit card, you obviously it doesn't help you build credit. So that is something that credit cards are good for. And with debit cards, it's not as easy to dispute fraud. So if your card does get compromised or your wallet gets stolen and you have to dispute charges, it's a process. You don't just get refunded right then and there like some people think. More times than not, you've got to file a police report.
Oh my gosh.
You've got to turn it into your bank so that they can actually go through every single charge and see, what's happened and dispute it. And it could take up to 10 business days to get your money back. So, and that's your money. Like that might be your money that you're using to pay your bills. Your paycheck might be going in there, but somebody has compromised your card. It's not as easy to get back as some people think.
Do you see that a lot?
All the time.
And I think it's crazy too because it's straight to your account.
Right.
So it's a link straight to your actual money that you have on hand. So that's scary if all of a sudden your money is missing. And like you said, you have to pay a bill this week and now you can't because that actual money that you have, it's not like a little loan that you're using your actual.
Well, and you don't even know where, sometimes people probably freak out because they don't know if someone has their card or if they got it online or how they got the information and now where it's at.
Right. And they don't think about that. Like if somebody steals your card or has your card information, they're just going to keep using it. Like they're just going to keep swiping it until it eventually declines. So, that's your hardworking money. So that's definitely something that we like to tell people. If you frequently shop online, like that's one of the most common ways to get your card compromised.
Is online shopping.
Or if you have it saved to a website.
Let me ask you this. If you have your card compromised, do you have to close your bank account typically?
Not if your card is compromised because they don't know, like it's linked to your checking account, but it does not have your checking account number on it.
But your checks would.
Checks, yes.
Okay, so that's what makes checks even more dangerous because it literally lists your routing number
and account number.
And account number.
Yep. That's why we tell people if they're a little hesitant to get a debit card, it's actually safer than a check because your check, you're writing it to somebody and giving it to them. It's got the routing number and account number. And like nowadays, people are duplicating checks.
Yeah.
It's insane what they can do. So checks are actually more riskier than debit cards.
Wow.
What's nice about our debit cards too, and you can do this on a credit card and a debit card, so I'm kind of going back to a pro, But through our app, you can turn it off. So if you do lose your debit card, which I've been like, I don't know where you're at.
Or
you just get on your phone, turn it off.
Can't find it for an hour.
I know,
You can turn it off. If it's lost in your car or something, you can just slide it off.
Yeah,
So that's
absolutely.
nice.
Yep, that's definitely a good feature to have, especially.
Well, and you probably tell people, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you probably tell them, like, if they call them with fraud, immediately tell them to turn their debit card off,
yes, that's
right?
the first thing. We're like, we're going to restrict your card so nothing else can come through. But, you know, there's still charges on there that might post. They might fall off. They might post. It's something that we don't really know, but it's definitely something that we just tell people to be aware of, especially with the holidays coming up. Like, so many people are going to be online shopping. So that's something to keep in mind for sure.
You're right.
Well, and you can't turn a check off.
Yeah. You can do a stop payment on a check, but we've got to know. I mean, you have to know all the information.
Right.
So.
And that's just chaotic.
Yeah.
Well, and who told us that for every stop payment, they have to,
Does it cost money?
Mm-hmm. Every stop payment, there's a $25 fee.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, because they watch that, they monitor that
every
day behind the scenes. So it takes a lot of labor.
Yes.
Manpower.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they've got to know. So if you are somebody who doesn't keep track of your checks and you don't know what check number it was, I mean, we've got to know that in order to put a stop payment on it. So,
yeah.
Here's a question for you before we move on to credit cards. Do we have a limit on our debit cards for how much we can spend every day? And if you do, can you change it?
Yes. So there is a spending limit. There's an ATM limit, which is separate than your spending limit. The spending limit per day is $2,500. But yes, that can be upped. And you can up it from your app by yourself.
Okay, so $2,500 and you can up it. Mm-hmm. Well, you just go log on and...
Yep, you log in and it will say request temporary spending limit, and it does it in 30-minute increments. So say that you increase it a little bit, but then you realize you need to increase it again. You can. If you call, you can call us and we can increase it as well, and it will stay for 24 hours. But that's something like we just like tell people, hey, your card's going to be raised with this limit for so much time. Like it's easier to do it.
Vulnerable.
On your own. Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's good.
What if a mom, has her kid linked her account with their debit card and she's like, I don't want you to spend more than X amount of dollars a day. Can you make it that limit for that card? Or is that too complicated?
So we can't lower the limit.
Can't lower the limit.
No, but it's just per card. So if they have multiple cards to that account, it would just be whatever card that they want the limit raised on.
And the limit's really for security.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you do get that information stolen, the most they can get out is that $2,500.
Which is still a lot.
Yeah. It's still a lot.
Yeah.
But it could save somebody from spending tens of thousands of dollars out of your your checking account. Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Man. Okay, let's move on to a safer way to spend during the holidays, which is typically a credit card, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. With the holidays coming up, and if you're from anywhere like us, like a small town, you're going to be doing a lot of online shopping. So with that, you obviously need a form to pay, which would be a debit card or a credit card. But in this case, credit cards are a lot safer.
Why are they safer?
Because it's not coming directly from your bank account.
That's right.
So a credit card, just like for basic, it's money that you're borrowing from. Either that card is through a bank or through a company, but it's not linked to your checking account. So if your credit card does get compromised, that's not linked to your account. That's not your money. So you don't have to worry about that.
You can dispute things more easily on a credit card.
Absolutely. There's a Fair Credit Billing Act or something that says that you get reimbursed everything on your credit card if it's over $50. Like you're not liable for anything more than $50. And I mean, you notice that there's charges on your card, you call the number, and I mean, just sometimes it's the same business day, but it could take maybe a business day or two to get your money back, but it's back just like that.
Yeah.
Do people abuse that?
I'm sure they probably do.
That's where my mind goes. I'm like,
but versus having to, dispute it with your bank, and it could take 10 business days, and it being really your money.
And hold up your account. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for fraud and looking for other spending or other charges that aren't yours, you put a hold on your account, and now you are shopping, or say you're on a vacation and you need to, that's your only form of payment, and you need that money then and there. Well, good luck. You're out of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So it's way easier to dispute with a credit card. That's what we always tell people. If that's the way that you like to shop is online, use a credit card, because if it does get compromised, you're going to be way better off disputing that than a debit card.
Yeah. What are some cons? Are there? Well, maybe there are more pros to.
It's a lot more pros. Jill, you're
Are
a
they?
you're a credit card girly.
I
You
am.
love
I
the
know.
points.
What are some other positives? I guess before we
Yeah.
moved on to those cons.
Yes,
Because my
well-
mind immediately goes like,
What's wrong?
"What's wrong? There's got to be a catch." So
Right.
tell me about the rest of the pros before we move on.
Yeah. Well, credit cards, like I said, it's a way for you to borrow money and make payments on it. So, but that could be, I mean, you can use it for however little or big of a purchase, but it does allow you to make bigger purchases and then make payments on it while also building credit. So it's a great way to have something to help you build your credit score if you're just starting off, because you can still use it for everyday purchases. And there's so many different kinds, like Ashley said in the beginning, like there's a million different rewards, cashback rewards. If you're somebody who just wants like a basic card and just wants cash back, there's that. Or so many people are really interested in travel points. Like I know a lot of people who have taken trips or flown for free or like very cheap just because all of their points that they get on their credit card goes to traveling. So it's kind of just something that when you sit down with somebody to do a credit card, just think about how you're going to be using it and what rewards would benefit you best. Some people, businesses like use it. You can get discounts on equipment and things like that. So
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
yeah, there's all kinds of different cards that you can get just based off of how you plan on using it.
I want to talk about some of our credit cards that we have available because there's one that, we talk about some promotions that credit card companies do. Like I know we have a card that's like 0% APY for a specific number of months. And so what are some of those kind of pros? You could make a purchase without having to pay interest for some time on that.
Absolutely. That's definitely something to look for too whenever you are wanting to open up a credit card. Is a lot of times they do have like a promotion like that for signing up where it is 0% APY for say 18 months. You're not paying any interest on your card. And you can do balance transfers. So say that you have a balance on a different credit card that you are having to pay a high interest rate on. You can transfer that balance onto a different card with 0% APY and pay it off a lot faster than it being on your other card gaining a lot of interest.
Yeah, for sure.
So how does somebody apply for a credit card through a bank, through our bank?
Yeah, so there's so many different ways that you can self-apply, or you can come in and you can sit down with somebody and we can just fill out an application with you. It just asks basic information like income information, and then we submit it, and you normally get a response right then and there if you are accepted or denied. Sometimes it does take, it will say they'll send you something in the mail after a couple of business days because they need to look at your credit history a little bit more, and maybe all they need is a little bit more proof of income or another credit line that you had. But it's very simple. The application process is so easy, and like I said, it will normally tell you right then and there if you're declined or accepted.
I bet it's probably better to come in and talk to somebody about a credit card because, like I said at the beginning of this, we have so many. I mean, I was shocked yesterday going through the list of how many
Yeah, I
credit
think
cards
there are-
and different,
Yeah.
just different, maybe fees associated with it or different rewards. And so just you coming and sitting with you and you asking them like why they need to use it, or probably is a little bit better than
Absolutely.
applying online.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
trying to figure it out yourself and sort through all that information. Maybe you don't understand what APY is, or you don't understand that there is an annual fee to this credit card and why it is that way.
Or
And
you
then-
don't know why one's 30% interest rate.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would recommend sitting down with somebody so you can go over the options, but also so we can ask, some people like get a debit or a credit card for their kid, like whenever they turn 18.
Yes.
That's what I did so they can start building credit.
I did that too.
But there's different options. Like a parent can add somebody to one of their cards or to their account as an authorized signer, and they can still build credit that way. So
Yeah.
there's so many different options with credit cards.
So is that like 2 credit cards attached to one credit card account?
Yeah, so they
I
can
saying that
have a
right?
physical card, or they can just be like a signer on the credit card, but they're still able to build credit. Some people, I guess this kind of goes into a con of a credit card. Some people can abuse that because a credit card can literally be opened in anybody's name if you have their social security number. So some parents will open a credit card in their kid's name whenever they're younger, and they will use it.
Oh, I thought you
be
meant,
responsible
that's
with
what I'm
it,
saying,
but
because they can wreck their credit, and we've talked about that before in an episode.
Yeah, they
which
can.
it's sad to see some
Yes.
parents do abuse it that way and, use their children's social security number. And if maybe they have bad credit, use their children's to.
Yeah. Well, so is there no age limit to opening a credit card then? Because you're just using a number?
Well, they're not super strict. Like, they don't go through and, check all of that stuff. If you've got your kid's social security number and name, people can absolutely get a credit card in it.
So they can be like 2 years old and you can open a credit card in there. That's a con.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's one of the big cons with credit cards. But
I know
hopefully, if somebody opens it in their kid's name or as them as an authorized signer, it's to help them out.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think another of credit cards need to be used wisely too. A lot of people are irresponsible. They don't realize it is a loan that they're taking out when they're using a credit card. You have to pay that money back in a timely fashion. Otherwise, it can really lead to some big problems.
Yeah, I think that's,
for people.
The biggest con with a credit card is that it leads to debt very, very fast. So just because you have that available limit to you does not mean rack it up, because you can accumulate debt very fast with credit cards. And the longer that you have a balance on there, you are getting charged interest on that amount that you're not paying. So I always say, like, my dad told me whenever I turned 18, he was like, get a credit card, but use it for like just small transactions at first, pay it off. Because like, don't make you, you have it available to you to make larger purchases if you want to, and you're able to, but have a plan on how you're going to pay that money back. Like, know that you can set a certain amount of money every single week or month back to pay that credit card off, so you don't just have that sitting there.
Right.
What's tempting with the credit cards is they will, if you pay your stuff back, they keep upping your limit, and they're like, oh, and they make it look like a glorified thing. Like, we upped your limit another $1,000 that you can spend. And it's like, that's how they get people, and that's how they make their money, because ultimately people will spend money that they don't have.
Yeah.
Yep.
They can't pay it off.
I think John Streeter once told me that you should spend only up to 30% of your credit card limit. So say you have a $10,000 credit card limit, only spend $3,000 and then pay it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you go over, then it doesn't kind of ding your credit. It's so
it lowers
weird with
your
all
credit.
the rules.
So, if people are applying for a home loan, that's the one thing they look at. If they have over 30% of their credit used up, it will lower your credit score quite a bit. So that's one of the major things they look at. So,
yeah.
Lexi, why would somebody open a credit card at a bank versus just another credit card institution like Discover or Capital One?
or online they're just kind of looking.
Because those credit card companies are great too. Like, we use them and like them.
Right. I think that the main difference is convenience, and you're working with a local bank. So you have the ability to walk into the bank if something is wrong or your card does get compromised. You can speak with somebody or be in touch with an actual person instead of trying to get a hold of somebody from Discover. And there's probably some different promotions that the local banks can offer on those cards instead of just a huge company like
benefiting all the time. Yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
Okay, so what happens if I don't pay my credit card bill?
Yeah. So with credit cards, you have like a minimum payment that's due every single month, and it will be, usually it's like anywhere from $20 to $30, $35 maybe. That's due every single month. If you don't make your payment and it goes 30 days past your payment date, it does get reported to the credit bureau, and that's whenever your credit is dinged and it affects your credit score. So, and that sometimes is a process too to get fixed. Once it's reported to the credit bureau, it's kind of a big deal, because then that goes into your whole credit report, your credit history, and that's what people look at. Like when Jill said, if you're buying a house, credit's a very, very important thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm still not paying it, what happens? Are they charging me interest now?
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm racking up more debt, and my credit's getting dinged.
Yep.
So it's like a double whammy.
It is. Yep. That's why I always say, like, don't, just because that limit is available for you to use, if you don't have a plan of paying it back, like, maybe think twice about that purchase. Do you really need it? Because that could affect your credit, and then it can just go downhill from there.
Yeah. Something I don't think a lot of people realize is that you do not have to wait until your credit card bill is due to pay off your credit card. So this is a way to think about it too. When you make a charge, if you are on Black Friday online shopping and you spend a bunch of money on your credit card, you can immediately go to your debit card and transfer that money and make a payment right then and there. You do not have to wait and feel like, because maybe that's a benefit. Maybe people feel as though they don't want to rack up that debt. They don't want to have a chance of paying that interest. Well, you can make a payment on a credit card anytime. It doesn't have to wait till the end of the cycle.
Yeah.
I'm like that. I get like a little nervous if I did a little too much online shopping.
Right.
I'm like, I think I should pay some of this off so it looks better.
Yeah.
When I get on my app.
Yep, for sure. But you can go in and transfer directly from your checking account to your credit card account and pay it off then and there. So then it's done out of your mind.
Yep, I'm the same way. I'm constantly, if I have a balance on there, I'm like looking to see when it goes down, making payments because it does. I'm like, I don't want that balance just hanging out there. Like, I want to pay that off.
For sure. And they talk about, your investment. If you have a big credit card debt, you hear this on Dave Ramsey or whoever's talking about credit card debt, right?
It's probably Dave Ramsey.
It's always Dave Ramsey. But no, he talks about credit cards are bad. He's so against them. And it doesn't have to be that way if you just are responsible about it.
Right.
So.
No, I think they're great. And like I said, it's one of the easiest ways to build your credit, especially if you're starting off or you're younger. It's the easiest way to versus having to go and take an actual loan out. Like you've got this card that you can actually use, even if you just use it like for gas or something, just small purchases to help you.
Yeah. Because I think that's one of the biggest frauds around here too, is those skimmers on those gas pumps.
Yep.
So
I just had somebody come in the other day who said that that's how their card got compromised was from a gas station pump. There was a skimmer on it. And then it made me think twice. I'm like, okay, now I only want to use my credit card at the gas station because it's insane what they can do. But yeah, they tell you to like do all shake the machine. I'm like, that just makes me so nervous. So yeah,
I shake it.
Yeah. And here's the thing too, is there's the policeman came to the Chamber of Commerce and talked all about, like, he investigates all of these fraud scandals at the gas station. He said literally these skimmers stay on for months at a time. And
they were at like 4 gas stations around here.
Right.
And we just don't think that stuff happens.
Yes. Right. So his tip was to always get gas.
And shake the machine. And on the...
Yeah, he said,
I'm so excited about the fraudulent activity in our area.
Like, tip, do not go and get gas at the end ones that aren't seen, the end pumps that aren't seen or supervised all the time, or might be
away from a camera.
Yeah, might be. Yeah. So always go to the middle pumps, shake them. Don't feel weird shaking them.
Oh my gosh.
And use your credit card.
The other day I was like, I gotta go to this middle pump. And of course my card gets declined at that one. And so I'm like, have to get back in my car, and I'm already put out because I'm at the gas station anyway. First world problems. And then I had to go to the outside pump, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my credit card's going to get, this is just not safe. I'm not safe.
Going inside to swipe. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like talking to the gas station attendant. Well, what's going on over here? She's like, I don't know. Just go to a different pump, sweetie. I don't have time for this. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's something like you think that's never going to happen to me, but these people literally do it as their full-time job. Like they are fraudsters all the time. Yeah. And it's insane how they do it, but it happens. I mean, all the time that we see it. Yeah. It's absolutely insane what they can do.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about, and you mentioned this earlier, a balance transfer and how that can be beneficial to some people.
Yeah. So say that you have a balance of X amount of dollars on your current credit card and you are getting charged a high interest rate. You find a different credit card, maybe that has a 0% APY for 18 months. You can balance transfer your exact balance that you have on that credit card over to a new one. And like I said, you're not going to be paying interest on that new one. So you can make payments and get it paid off faster than the one that you already
just
had.
On exactly what that balance is. That's great.
But I do know that you have to be careful with that too, because sometimes there are transfer fees.
Yes.
Depending on which card you're transferring from and the one you're transferring to.
And you're opening up a new credit card, which means they're going to pull your credit again, which is another ding to your credit. So.
Right.
Yep. There's definitely things to think about with it, but it can be beneficial, like I said, because you don't have to pay that interest, but definitely check into what the rates are or the fees are for transferring.
And don't just do it just to roll your money over. Do it with a plan to pay it off.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because if you if you roll it over and then you let it sit there too, that credit card eventually is going to start charging you some interest. So
good.
Well, Lexi, if you were to leave our listeners with one last bit of advice that you want them to remember from this episode, what would it be?
I just say be very, very careful whenever you are making purchases, whatever that is. Like, just be thoughtful. because we always say you never think it's going to happen to you until it actually does. And that's your money that you work very hard for. So you want to protect it at all costs, and you don't want somebody to just take that and spend it for their own good. But I would say get a credit card, be very responsible with it, and have a plan. Like, you want to help yourself out. You want to build credit, but also you have that for you to use whenever you want to for whatever your purchase is. So just be responsible, but definitely if that's something that you're thinking about, I mean, we're happy to help you apply for a credit card.
And so if they do want to apply for a credit card, do they come to see you?
Absolutely. And I have a little flyer too with a little code.
Well, that's great.
No, but yes, I can sit down and we can go through the application, figure out what you want to use the card for so that it can help you with whatever, cash back. If you want to travel, yeah, I'd love to.
Well, great. And you're at the Marion East location.
I am, yes. I am there. Come see me.
Okay. And we'll link all your information here so then people can get a hold of you. So, But thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you for having
Thanks,
me.
Lexi.
Yes, thank you for having me. This has been
Hey,
fun.
and it's Black Friday. It'll be Black Friday this coming Friday.
Yeah.
This is a Dave Ramsey thing. Just because it's on sale doesn't mean it's a good purchase.
Ooh, good.
That's my
That's a
final
good
tip.
Yes.
Awesome. We'll see you next time.
So, Jill, where do we go from here?
Be sure to check out our show notes for this episode, and also be sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our newsletter. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.